Welcome to AP Computer Science. I'll be your host, Ms. Dirksen. You've already gotten a couple emails from me, so yes, this is the name and the face going together right now. All right, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I went to Harvey Mudd College and got an engineering degree. I graduated and the tech bubble burst and all my friends said, okay, we'll go get PhDs. And I said, but I don't want to do that. And so I went to go be a teacher. So my master's is in secondary math education. I was a math teacher for over 10 years before I switched to computer science. And so now some years I teach a math class and some years I just teach computer science. This is one of those just computer science years. In terms of course content and what's in here, I'm not a big fan of PowerPoint, and so I wrote it all on the whiteboard. I am teaching from home, so if there are giant thunks in the middle of class, that's probably my second grader having PE upstairs. All right, so in August and September, you're gonna see methods, loops, conditionals, all the basic building blocks of programming coming out. The kids are working on a Calculate project. They'll do that for 5 parts. As of filming, they've worked on part 1 and are starting part 2, but by the time you see this, they'll be probably through part 2 and working on part 3. So you can ask them how that's going, but it's just a collection of math methods to get them used to all of these things. Somewhere in October, they learn about arrays, and then in November, everything gets harder and they learn about objects. If you have a student who is brand new to programming, this piece is very tough, because it moves pretty fast. I'm establishing a baseline through here and here. It brings everyone up to about where they need to be. And they should expect, if it's hard for them, they should come to office hours. Absolutely. I will sit there and do it with them if they want to. They should not be panicking. So if they need help, I can cut their homework time down by at least half if you just send them to me. So encourage them. If you see that they're really struggling, please send them in. All right, by the time we get to November's, objects are really tough for kids, and so I slow it down a lot, and everybody's mostly in the same place. That's when a project called FracCalc comes out. It's a calculator that takes in fractions, and it does conversions into mixed numbers, and it allows us an opportunity to put objects in play. And it's the first time they've ever done that, and that's a really tricky time. But and they'll feel uncomfortable, but I don't really expect objects to be solidified until spring semester. So we'll take it as they come. In December, then they learn a little bit about array lists, and then we go back through reviewing for usually the final. We'll see where we are come December. I just can't answer those questions now. My crystal ball is broken upstairs. All right. In January, we're going to work on inheritance, interfaces, and polymorphism. These are all advanced topics with objects, putting them all together. If you have more than one object, this is how it works. In February and March, there'll be a project called TextExcel. This is a 7-week project. Timing may shift a little bit. This is the normal timing of the course when we're not at home. TextExcel is essentially programming a spreadsheet from nothing, right? They just get some Eclipse windows, start off. And it is sortable, and it allows references to different cells. It's really quite difficult. When they finish that, they can actually program. It's very cool, but it is a big undertaking for them. It's a huge deal. So it's kind of like a rite of passage when they finish that. There'll be little topics: search and sort, recursion. We spend a couple weeks on each of them. They're not a big deal. They are on the AP test and I cover them, but we don't spend a long time. The kids normally actually like the recursion section reasonably well. These kids do pretty well on recursion. In April, this is mostly a month that's left for review for the AP test. The rest of the year, my goal is really to teach these kids how to program. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about the AP test itself until that month. They will do things up until then. They'll do free response questions. They'll do some multiple choice from the test. It won't be brand new, like, oh, where'd this come from? But I don't really worry about it all that much. There are things in this curriculum like interfaces, binary numbers. There are things spread throughout here that are not actually on the AP test. They're not inside of the Java subset that they have to learn. They're not on the AP test. And I teach them anyway because I think that they're important concepts that the kids will find when they get to college and when they keep programming. And we generally have time to cover them, and I just put them right in there with everything else. As I adjust this calendar this year, things like that may have to be pulled out so that we can account for the missing instructional hours. Normally we would have 4 hours in class a week, and we right now have 2.5. And that's all right, but I may need to pull some things out so that the kids don't go into complete overload and shock. So if I need to, I need to. But there's a buffer month in here where there's no new content really taught. So I should have a few weeks of wiggle room to adjust the class. So that's that plan. Typically, a class period starts with a warm-up, and then we talk about little things that maybe got lost in the last class period, or things that I see as misunderstandings in what they've just turned in. So we'll go over those things at the beginning, and then I put them into breakout groups pretty frequently, at least once a class period. Sometimes those breakout rooms are like 2 to 4 minutes. It's just a short, answer these questions out loud with a group of people, because the kids would be normally like leaning over to their group and going, what just happened? So this is a good time for them to do that, and I make sure those times are built in there. I do a lot of screen sharing of my code, but also their code. If things are broken, that's absolutely how we fix things. So if they come to office hours, there'll be a lot of, okay, put that code right up on that Zoom window, let's see it. What does it look like? So they will do that themselves in their breakout rooms with their group of 4, but they'll also do it with me in office hours. And when things are broken in a 35-person class, sometimes we just have to stop class for a second and catch up those 2 kids and fix their stuff. So there's a lot of screen sharing in here. All right, office hours are my favorite part of teaching. I just love hanging out with them. We work on college essays, we do all kinds of things, but I have scheduled office hours for the school. We're required to have 2 to 3:15 on Tuesdays and Fridays, but if the kids want help at extra times, it seems to be working that they just jump into my office hours Zoom room. It sends me an email, they Slack me, let me know. And if I'm not with my 2nd grader, then I will hop into the Zoom room with them and we work on their homework. A lot of the time I'm sitting in front of my computer just doing my own work. So if they want to come in and just use me as a security blanket, and they sit there and they work on their assignments, and then they go, oh, Ms. Dirksen, I can look up and go, yes, what can I do for you? And I can answer their questions quickly, and then they can go back to work. So some kids come in for particular questions, and others just because they want company and that immediate, like, it broke, what do I do? They want that immediate assistance. So if you have either one of those experiences happening over there, please send them to me. I'm happy to help. In terms of grades, typically the kids are getting A's, B's, and C's. I very seldom end up with kids in this class with grades lower than that unless they turn to cheating. So as long as they're turning in their own work, they basically are getting A's, B's, and C's in my classes normally. In terms of the AP test, over 80% of them get 4s and 5s. There are a few who will get 3s, but it is seldom that kids get below a 3. And it's not a surprise to them if they do. But basically that's it. The AP test itself is formatted with half free response questions and half multiple choice. And we do a lot of practice, so I don't think even that is too scary. So anyway, if you guys have more questions, you can email me, and I will see your kids next time.